everybody, I'm Jamie Trull. I am a CPA and a financial literacy coach, and today we're going to be talking about payroll. One of the most common questions that I get is, what payroll provider do I recommend? And what really are the differences at the end of the day? So I've spent a lot of time on this. I've worked with a lot of clients on instituting payroll, and I do have a favorite. I'm not going to tell you which it is yet, but we're going to compare a few different payroll providers. So the ones that we're going to compare are Gusto, ADP, QuickBooks Payroll, and Paychex. So those are some of the most common ones that I see people using. So we're talking about payroll for small business owners. So you may need payroll if you're hiring employees, or maybe you are an S Corp and you just need to pay yourself with payroll, and you're trying to figure out what the best solution for you will be. So I'm going to get into all of that. I'm going to compare one software with another and find the winner. And then we can compare that winner with another software to find who the overall winner is. So right now, let's compare Gusto versus ADP. What are the main differences with Gusto and ADP? ADP is probably the name you know. When I worked in Fortune 500, we used ADP for payroll all the time. It's very well known in kind of big corporate environments. So ADP might be the way to go if you have a really complicated business model. But if you are a small business owner, if you're an S Corp, if you have 10, 20, 30 employees, right? Then you may not need something like ADP. And I'm going to tell you the biggest difference to me between Gusto and ADP is the upfront pricing. And the fact that Gusto tends to be cheaper for a really great product. They're really, even oftentimes they're giving you more than what ADP gives you. So the big issue with ADP is there's not really upfront pricing. You can't really just obtain what the pricing is going to be. Oftentimes they add additional fees. A lot of things cost extra. A couple of things Gusto does not offer: household employees. So if you have a nanny or something like that that you're paying, remember that's not a business expense. That is something that you pay personally. They don't currently, unfortunately, have a capability to pay household employees, but ADP does. International payroll is also something that you cannot do through Gusto. So if you have actual employees that are on staff in other countries, then ADP might be a better bet, but you're going to pay some extra fees for it. But for most businesses, most small businesses in the US, I personally recommend Gusto. I think it has a great platform. With Gusto, you can run your payroll, you can schedule out your payroll, you can run it multiple times a month for the same cost. So that's another thing to be looking at when you're looking at different payroll providers. Do they cost money per payroll run, or is it something that is more unlimited and it's just a dollar per month? That's what Gusto is. So whether you run payroll every single day or every single week, or you run it once a month, you're going to pay the same in Gusto. Most other payroll providers like ADP will charge you more. Okay, so now we're going to talk about Paychex versus Gusto. Since Gusto won our first round against ADP, we are going to compare it with Paychex. Paychex is very similar to where there's a lot of extra fees. So setup fees are going to be extra, not for Gusto. You're going to have payroll processing fees on a per payroll basis. You're going to have extra fees to file W-2s and 1099s. You're going to have even extra fees to do e-signatures on your I-9s and your W-4s. So the things that you need to do to kind of onboard new employees. Onboarding is crazy easy in Gusto. There are no additional fees for onboarding and hiring extra employees, and you can do it all virtually. You can just send them all the things they need to fill out, and they can fill them out and e-sign them and send them back to you. So it's really, really efficient, but that actually does cost more for Paychex. They do have household employer payroll, however, at Paychex. They don't have international employees. So even still, because there are so many things that are extra with Paychex as well, including multiple states, if you have employees in multiple states and you have filings that you need to do in multiple states, that will cost you more in Paychex, not in Gusto. So that's another really great thing about it. I've also heard from those that have used Paychex. I've never used it myself with any of my clients, but I have heard from people that use it that it's not super user-friendly. And that's one of the things I love also about Gusto is how user-friendly it is. It is so much easier to be able to use it. So So now don't tune out, even if you've already decided you're going to go with Gusto and that's the one for you. I want you to hear about the offer that I have where if you go to jamietrull.com/Gusto, you can get a $100 Visa gift card for signing up with my link. You also get your first month free. So importantly, you do not pay for Gusto at all unless you are running payroll. So if you sign up now and you don't run it for a couple of months, then that is completely fine. You won't pay anything in the interim. And the first month that you do actually pay payroll, you won't pay for either as long as you use my link. So I want to make sure that I put that out there for anybody who is convinced already. But I do want to talk about the last one that I often get people asking me about, which is QuickBooks Payroll versus Gusto. So let's talk a little bit about that. QuickBooks Payroll and Gusto, a lot of people think because they use QuickBooks Online perhaps that they should stick with QuickBooks Payroll because of the fact that it will integrate better. I can tell you Gusto integrates seamlessly with QuickBooks. It also integrates seamlessly with a lot of other things. For example, Xero is another one that they integrate with, and tons of other apps out there. So time tracking apps and things like that if you don't want to use the internal time tracking that Gusto allows as well. So that's the great thing about it is there is so many integrations. So the fact that you use QuickBooks Online actually really doesn't mean that you should be using QuickBooks Payroll. In fact, as much as I love and recommend QuickBooks Online, I don't recommend you use QuickBooks Payroll. And they don't do as many of the fees. There are some things that are extra. I believe 1099s are extra for QuickBooks Payroll. They have a business model that's relatively similar where you pay a base price and then a per employee price that Gusto does. However, the big difference that I see with people who have done QuickBooks Payroll is the customer service. So that's the other thing that I think is just top notch with Gusto. Their customer service is fantastic. It is so good. They are a really great, you can pick up the phone and actually call them and actually get somebody on the phone. There is not a dedicated phone line as of right now for QuickBooks Payroll. You actually have to put in a request and then it takes time for them to call you back, and it's a process to be able to get a hold of anybody to help you. So while QuickBooks Payroll may work, if something goes wrong, you don't have that support system that you have built in with Gusto. I am a massive, massive fan for that reason. I have always found that my clients can always get answers to their questions. They can get things sorted with it. So I would say even with QuickBooks Payroll, I would recommend Gusto. So obviously that's my favorite, you guys. And I do want to talk about, they have various different plans. They are super affordable. They're one of the most affordable of all of them for the fact that you get all of those things built in. Okay, so all in, you are likely going to pay less with Gusto than you are with pretty much any other payroll provider when you add in all those additional fees that they may be charging you at other payroll providers. Now, also, great thing that Gusto does is if you get one of the higher plans, there are various different plans. So it'll go through and actually assess what your needs are and help you with the onboarding and help you figure out how to hire employees and what do you need to be able to do that with your state. So they'll help you through that. But one of the great things is too, you can get a fully outsourced HR system. So if you need health insurance for your employees, if you want to have an HSA for your employees, if you want disability insurance, they can help you with all of that workers' compensation. So it can actually serve as a fully outsourced HR department as well. So again, look at the different plans and decide which one makes the most sense for you. Gusto will actually help you walk through that depending on what you're looking for. But I love that it also has this capability to basically serve as an HR function. You can do contracts through it, all of the things. So for me, it is an obvious winner for Gusto. I would love for you guys to sign up and use my link. Again, you do not pay anything until you actually start to run payroll with it. It does take a little bit of time, just like any other payroll provider, to get everything set up, get your bank accounts mapped and all of that. So I do recommend that you go ahead and sign up, and then it will be ready to go when it's time for you to run payroll for the first time. It's also very easy. They can help walk you through if you're transitioning from one payroll service to another. Gusto will be right there with you to help you support that transition to make it as easy as possible. And they will also help those of you who are hiring your very first employee or are looking to pay yourself as an owner through payroll. They will help you through that process as well. There's so many great onboarding resources that they give you to make it super duper easy and not intimidating. So that's the other thing that I love. So I want to make sure everybody goes and checks out Gusto. Again, jamietrull.com/Gusto to get that $100 Visa gift card for signing up and running payroll with my link. Also, you get a free month when you sign up with my link. So make sure to use that. Don't go straight to their website. Make sure to use this special deal so that you can get in on the best deal that's out there. So thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to my channel and watch some of the other suggested videos. I have more videos about Gusto and other things that I recommend, like QuickBooks Online, for example. So go check out the rest of my video library if you found this helpful.